Hello and welcome to Welcome Home Radio. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy, whether it's investing, leasing, renting, home insurance, or myths and misconceptions. Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, to help you make the right home buying decision for you and your family, here are your hosts.
Good afternoon and welcome to Welcome Home Radio. We're going to have a good time today. We're going to talk to the Dagley Insurance Company. We have Robby Cox, Senior Vice President, and Angela King, Regional Director of Business Development. And as many of you know out there, Fathom acquired them, I think part of the E49 acquisition. And so we're hopefully going to enlighten a lot of real estate agents and other people out there that are interested in real estate for their home or auto. So we have two experts here, and I'll just start. Robby, do you want to say hello and just introduce yourself and what you do for Dagley?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having us on. And for anybody watching, we understand when you see insurance pop up on the title, and you may not think it's very sexy, but we're going to try to make it fun for you today, make it energetic, and try to lighten things up around insurance. And I promise you we won't speak in insurance speak. So, but I've been with Dagley Insurance 14 years now and watched the agency grow substantially, and to see the opportunity as we began to scale and develop ourselves around what I consider the real estate and mortgage community. When we were created Encompass Lending as well back in as E49, as you mentioned, back in early 2009, following the financial crisis, and how collaboratively we've worked with Even Real Results, which was part of the E49 as a lead generation company and a call center, to work with Dagley Insurance and Encompass Lending to work together, and kind of seeing that grow into a point of being something that would be attractive to run alongside with Fathom and with Barris. And so we were very excited about that opportunity when it came forward pretty much around this time last year, and where Angela helped tee that up with a relationship she had for over 15 years in the title business before she came to join us. So everything is about relationships with our mortgage and real estate partners, always has been, always will be, regardless to how big we get and how good the operation is. So it always comes back to relationships.
It is. I think, business in general is about the relationship. And I can tell you, I love Fathom for that one reason. It's about the people. And if the people are happy, then more people come on and we get more clients. We do a better job at service, all of it. So I love that. And I know most of our agents, if not all, they all feel that way. It's like an amazing company to be with. And I feel blessed. So Angela, what do you do and how do you do it? And if you could explain that, that'd be great. And
so I'm Angela Kreig, and I'm the Regional Director of Business Development for Dagley Insurance. And I've been with Dagley for a year and 7 months now. I usually say about a year and a half, but I was on my LinkedIn and it gave me the full amount. So thank goodness for LinkedIn, because I'm not really good with time. Yeah. It's been a great year and 7 months. Obviously, coming on board with Fathom was very exciting for everybody, and it continues to just get better and better. So, through obviously there's so many Fathom agents spread out throughout the country. I'm located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, originally from California. And I was in the title business for 15 years before getting into insurance, still in that business development role. I really enjoy being around people. That's what makes me happy. And so I truly enjoy what I do. And I just, the more calls and more interaction that I receive, the happier I am. And obviously that's better for everybody. So it kind of is a win-win.
Yeah, happy is a good thing. So I think that's a good place to start. You guys do insurance, and we're from Dallas Fort Worth. This show is based in DFW. I think Robby, you're here too, correct?
Yes, our office headquarters, our DFW headquarters is in Plano, but I also live right there in Flower Mound with you, Alan, and I know Angela's right there north of us in Highland Village. So we're
that's great,
county folks.
So where do you, Dagley as a whole, what states are you in? All the states, some of the states, many of them, or what?
Well, you know what? First, let me go ahead and this is something that we get asked a lot, and I assume that everybody knows it. And so I want us to go ahead and just put it out there. We do homeowners insurance, but we also have several other products as well. And so Robby, you can fill in on those, but we do auto insurance. We get asked that a lot. Oh, you do auto insurance? People don't know that. So yes, we do home and auto. In addition to that, we have several other products. Robby, you want to go ahead and spout those off?
Yeah, sure. So obviously if we do home and auto, we also do things with umbrella policies, motorcycles, boats, RVs, rental properties. And that's for maybe your individual investors, but then also for your commercial, we've got our commercial division is very robust. And so for those of you who may do vacant properties or flips or commercial property, we can do those. And we work with a lot of contractors as well that actually serve the real estate community. So even our commercial division is even built around the real estate community. So your roofers, your restoration, your plumbers, electricians, pretty much your inspectors from an E&O perspective, like anyone that you might recommend or refer to go help your clients on the real estate side, that contractor or vendor is a perfect referral. We've built our verticals, even on our commercial side of the house, to make sure that even the vendors that you refer to people, you can know that they're insured, because we insure those and we work. It all comes back to relationships, right? So that's kind of where it started. Yeah. To answer your initial question, I'm going to answer it specifically, the correct answer at the moment, because it's constantly changing. At the moment, we are in 46 states plus DC. So I would even suspect that we'll be in the entire lower 48 probably by the end of the calendar year. But we're closing in on it quick.
I'm pretty sure, at least, what I know about Dagley being on the Fathom board on Facebook with hundreds and hundreds of agents. I didn't know you were in 46 states. I had no clue.
Well, we need to help get that message out a little bit better, don't we?
Well, that's what we're doing right now. So I invite anybody who might be watching live, if you have a question about anything insurance, homeowners, auto, or the other services they provide, you can type in a live comment, a question, and we can certainly answer it here right now. And if after the show, if you watch it tomorrow, like you're watching it on Thursday or Friday, and you have a question, you can still type it in. It'll be monitored, and somebody will get back to you. So we invite you to do that. So I got a couple just questions as a consumer and a couple of them as a realtor when it comes to insurance. So obviously we work with existing clients and new clients when you're in real estate. And one of the things I always tell my clients to do during our option period is, one, who is your insurance carrier? Two, are you happy with them? Do they do all the kind of insurance that you're needing? And three, if you are happy with them, get a clue report. So a clue report is kind of a big deal in real estate. And I know you've been asked to do that in your past. So can you kind of explain why that's important to some of the realtors that might be watching?
Absolutely. I love that topic. Angela loves to dodge it, but I love to hit it right up.
That's us Flower Mound people.
Right. No, Angela's always like, oh, they asked for the clue again. No. So I will say it's a very common request. I think you hit it on the head as far as the right timing. That the timing of the clue report is very critical because at the option period is good and for the buyers, right? So And so we get asked that a lot, but not always at that timing and not always for buyers. So that's why I phrase it that way. Yeah. And so what I would say is it's critical for your buyer, but I also want people to understand is that oftentimes when we do an accurate clue report, we have to be doing a quote, right? And when we do a quote, we're doing that for the individual, for that buyer. So if some folks think a clue report is only for the property being purchased, but a clue report also is checking the loss history of the buyer purchasing the property. So the property has a history, but so does the buyer. And so what the insurance company is trying to do is look at what is the risk between the property and the buyer with a propensity to have a claim or a prediction to have a claim in the future, so they can actually try to create that pricing for that premium according to state guidelines, right? And so what I always ask people is if you just give us an address and ask for a clue report and think that a premium is going to be accurate, it's really probably not, but at least gives you something to negotiate on for your inspection, or to give you peace of mind with the inspection, or to negotiate to make sure that everything was handled properly, right? So when the inspector goes out, if they know there was a plumbing loss or a roofing loss, they can make sure that that roof was replaced completely, not just on one side, or that money wasn't put into repairs instead of replacement, or that the plumbing wasn't just like done DIY style with some duct tape, right? It was actually done by a certified plumber, or everything is up to code with that hot water heater that had a leak or whatnot. So we want you as a real estate agent I would assume you would want your buyer to have a good property in good condition with no issues and problems, because that reflects on you. As an insurance agent, we are not just paid on premiums, but our bonuses and incentives on commissions is also based on loss ratio. So we want to make sure that we're actually writing good business that's not going to be buying a loss right away. And we want to come alongside a buyer, because at the end of the day, we don't want them to get into a property that is going to also turn around and be a problem for them right away, or at least we want them to be aware of it so that they can get those problems handled with their real estate agent to negotiate with them before they get moved in. And so we see that as not only an opportunity to build a relationship in that option period with the clue report, but also it also gets us ahead. When you talk about that, it gets us ahead of the incumbent agent. So while everybody needs insurance, they already have it. And there's already, at least, even if they're not given 4 names or 3 names, and they're only say, hey, this is our preferred relationship, they're going to take good care of you. They're going to market all the carriers for you, get you the best price, give you a clue report, on and on. But getting in the option period gets us a little bit ahead of the incumbent agent with not only a quote and a clue report to get valuable information, but also gives us an opportunity at that point as life's changing to help satisfy all their coverage needs, and before they even speak to their incumbent agent.
That's a great explanation. I think if you just cover the buyer thing again, I think most people in real estate, realtors specifically, don't understand that part of it, that the buyer is also checked out. Not so much like I don't know, can you compare that to like maybe a credit check where you're like, the cleaner the buyer, the better the rate? Is that kind of how it is?
Absolutely. So it's just like a new property, like a new construction home is a better price, right? Because the chances of that having any problems is pretty low. So you could even have someone that has maybe 2 or 3 water losses or a fire loss wherever they were in their history, but because it's new property, it's still going to be lower. But if you take on somebody who's buying like a house built in the 80s or 90s, along with having 2 or 3 claims on their record in the last 5 to 7 years, now, and that maybe that house has had a water loss or a lightning loss, or just had then all of a sudden now you've got that combination that's going to help push that premium up. And a lot of times people say, well, my neighbor got this rate, or I have Allstate, or I have Nationwide, and how come their rate's higher or lower? I would tell you, just being, it's not just the clue report. Those pieces are a big piece, but I think with the vast majority of our 25 plus carriers that we operate with, most of the homeowners policies now have at minimum 150 different variables that factor into that rate. So anytime I hear,
is it kind of like lending where you have algorithms?
It's all algorithmic. The actuaries have dialed it in so tight.
Big word there.
So what I tell people is you cannot look at any area or territory or people or age of home. You can't look at it on a singular issue. We have to just help people, plug it into our system and our rater, and let it tell us what's the best option during that snapshot in time. And Angela can really talk about how things are definitely a moment in time and not as well.
Please do.
Oh, thanks, Robby. I think Robby covered most of it. So that's one of the first things he taught me, was that insurance is a snapshot in time. So he likes to make sure I remember that.
Well, insurance, I think we all have it. You have to have it. Well, I guess you don't have to. If you own something, you don't technically have to, but you're silly if you don't, right? So we all go through this process, and I wanted to maybe delve into the process. And I found it after you guys were helping me, because I know I was pestering you on the text a little bit. I'm a slow learner, but when I learn, I don't forget. And I found it extremely easy to get a quote. And I did the auto and the homeowner, I think what 90% of the public will do. I don't have a motorcycle, but I really have a really cool bicycle. I get 3 of them. Bam. But, I found it very easy to actually get a quote. And I don't like the conversation when I'm on the phone with an insurance company and they go, "What's your liability?" I'm like, "Hell, I don't know. I woke up this morning. I got to look both ways before I cross the street. I don't know." And you guys just said boom, 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 boom. So, Angela, can you maybe talk about the marketing of the insurance and how you guys make it so simple? And I can just tell you, whether you're an agent or just, a regular homeowner, one of my friends or one of their friends, it was simple and I loved it. So if you could explain that, that'd be great.
Well, thank you for that. I'd love a testimonial from you so I can share that on in our marketing. So I'll be following up with you for that. But Dagley has always been a very technology driven company. So what we've made sure to do is have multiple ways for realtors and their clients to make it easy for them to get a hold of us. So whether that be the person that just wants to pick up the phone and call and get an agent, they can do that. What you're talking about, Alan, is our system where you go to the link, which we've hopefully we can provide those maybe somehow. We have 2 different links that we've set up. They're landing pages. We've got one for Fathom Realtors for them to go to for your personal property and auto and all of that. And then we have one that's branded for you and your clients when you're referring your buyers or when you're referring, family, friends. It doesn't always have to be a buyer, right?
Right.
That's something to keep in mind as well. And we've had a lot of Fathom agents that, just thank you from all of us, because the numbers that have come in from you guys, just coming and getting quotes for your personal properties have, been great the last few months. So we just really appreciate that.
That's great.
So back to the ways that you can get a quote, you can call in, you can go through the website links, and then you can contact me and I can get you where you need to be. So there's a few different ways, and on the website, you are provided with the phone number that you can call in, and then you have the option to either connect to your carrier, which is something that everybody always says is the best way. They love it. Everybody loves it. So you can connect to your carrier, and that'll just automatically send us everything we need. Nothing that's confidential. It's just your deck pages that then we can see what your current coverage is, and basically all of your information. Or you can just type in your property address and that sort of information, and then that goes to us as well. And then somebody from our elite team will be in touch with you within 24 hours, most of the time that day, depending on what time
I'll tell you, they were in touch with me fast, and it was great. And I'll tell you appreciate that. I'm a little clumsy, I guess, trying to figure out how to do things on the computer just right the first time and follow instruction, but I eventually get it. And then I do that, and I'm all happy I did it. But gosh, the phone rang. I got a text, "Alan, can you talk?" Yeah, I can talk, sure. So easy, folks. If you want to, get a quote, it really is that simple. You literally get online, punch a couple things in, hit send, and you're done. And they call you and they'll tell you, "Hey, we got a heck of a good deal for you here." Or they might even say, "You know what, you're pretty good right now. We'll check in with you, in another 6 months or 3 months, whatever the tickler is for insurance, and maybe we can help you then. Because I think we all know insurance is a rotating thing.
And a snapshot in time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robby. I love that. So it is where Safeco might be good one time, Nationwide might be better the next, and so on. So I think one of you guys said multiple carriers and stuff like that. So are you actually an insurance company or an insurance broker? What is the difference for the average person out there? Is there an advantage to either or how does that work? Can one of you help with that?
Yeah, so essentially the way I would describe it is, we have over 25 different carriers, right? And so when we shop, it's going out, our system is going out and looking at all those carriers at once and bringing it back. So what's important to know is that in insurance, you're not just trying to sell as many policies as possible, at least as an agency we are, but as a carrier, at the carrier level, they're not. Okay, so what happens, to kind of share that with everybody, as to why one carrier might be good now and then months later or years later it might be a different carrier, is that what happens is like you have let's just say a hailstorm blows over North Texas, right? Well, whichever carrier had the more households and rooftops and cars sitting outside just had to pay a lot of claims. So what they're going to do is they're going to increase their premiums to try to offset their losses, and another carrier that didn't have as much market share will then keep their premiums lower because they don't have as much risk until their bucket fills up a little bit, and then the inverse will happen again. And the carriers are constantly filing with new buckets. That was what I'll call them, new buckets every 3 years. And so every time they open a new bucket, it doesn't have any rooftops or cars in it, so it can be lower. And then as it fills up, the premiums have to climb because they don't want to. The way they slow down more customers is just to raise premiums. So they actually slow it down a little bit on purpose, because we all learned in 2008, right? The big banks and AIG and all that mess. What happens is they have to keep a certain amount of capital, right, in order to be able to cover all the claims if they're going to remain a A-rated carrier. And so what I always tell people, and I think you brought it up about shopping on a regular basis and that snapshot in time. So I kind of give you that basis for a reason. What I want to caution people about is, and we have great account managers that do this, but what I want to caution people is then sometimes they expect, hey, I got my policy with Dagley Insurance, they're going to shop it every single year. I caution people that the insurance companies also in their algorithms have a loyalty factor. And that loyalty factor is based off their profit margin of about 3+ years. So what I caution people is if you shop too often, or we reshop it too often, it actually decreases your opportunity to get a better premium. So what we want to do is unless life changes, and if life changes, we want to shop right away, right? Like I had a teenager, and all of a sudden I've got like increased premiums. I need to find whoever has the best auto rate. Who cares about the best home rate? Auto is killing me because I had a teenager, right?
A teenage boy even.
Yeah, and a teenage boy even. So, and I definitely don't want him driving a Mustang, right? But at the end of the day, what I tell people is if you have a pain point, let's look at it right now. But if you don't have a pain point or a life change, we want to look at things at about a year 3 to 5 interval, because then you get that loyalty benefit, especially if you have any claims that'll also clear off, and that timing and that snapshot will actually improve for you. So we try to tell people, and it's one of our platinum, we call it our Dagley Platinum Promise, is that you can just set it and forget it to a degree, because most of the time you're having to watch your premium creep. And what we've promised you is our systems, just like you got that text, you will get a text, an email, or a phone call from your personal account manager if your premiums, as a combination of all your policies, ever climb over 10% increase. You will get an automated message to schedule a review to start shopping all your policies.
Well, that's a good place to segue into that. Never happens with anybody. Once they get your money, they keep your money. It's no different than Netflix. It keeps going up. You just keep paying. You don't even know how much you're paying because it's on auto pay. So I love what you just said about, hey, if we're going up, we're going to call you and say we're going up, and we're going to look at something better for you or try to do your rate better. I love that as a consumer. I love an insurance company that'll interrupt this, this process to try to save us money. And that is just a way to do business, in my opinion. Happy client, keep your client. But a lot of people don't look, right? They just State Farm for like a million years because that's who I use, And that leads me into another question that I get all the time. And I do get it all the time, a lot from first-time home buyers, but also from people that have bought homes before. Discount insurance, just like discount brokerage or discount this or discount that. The word discount generally is a negative term that people use, and I think it's overused personally. But in the insurance business, when you're covering us, the consumer, are there things to watch for on, you don't need to name names, but are there things that a consumer needs to listen for or watch for, or maybe realize that you're going down the wrong path here, and maybe need to reach out to a different company or call somebody else for a quote or something? Because if they're just doing price, so many times you get what you pay for, and it's not like my bicycle is getting hurt and I can buy a new bike. It's like your $300,000 home is just burnt up and you got coverage for $200,000 and you're in trouble. So can you talk about that a little bit? I think a lot of the consumers out here, being realtors or other folk, are interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'd love to save you money. If we can save you money, that makes us happy. That makes you happy. That's what we want to do. But we don't sell on price. That's not something that we do. We'll get you the fairest price for the best coverage. And that's something that we stand by. That being said, we know sometimes we do need to really keep it as tight as we can for, to conform with your loan. So we get that. And because we have so many great carriers, we've got a lot of flexibility and options.
I was going to add to that. So, and Angela is spot on. We take the approach as being an advisor first, right? So we can get you best price if best price is all you care about. But at the end of the day, we're selling peace of mind. I mean, that's what insurance really is. And so what we try to advise our agents to do is, even if budgetary reasons is controlling the transaction, what we can do, though, is give people peace of mind by at least creating a backstop of the most likely claims that are to occur. And we have all the statistics. We've been in business 20 years. We know where the claims fall, what kind of claims happen. And it's number one is water damage, slow leaks, slab leaks, burst of pipes, and wind-driven rain, you name it. If it's water damage, it's number one. And then wind and hail is number two. All right. And then we start getting into other ancillary issues. And so a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to buy water, or I don't think it's important to have water, or they're really focused on the wind and hail deductible. My point is, it's more important that we give you all those coverages, even if you have to take a higher deductible, because if you've got a $300,000 house and a 1% deductible is $3,000 and a 2% deductible is $6,000, right? Would you rather have a $6,000 deductible, or would you rather have a $60,000 slab leak claim tearing your house apart and having to live somewhere else for months and that not be covered? And so when people say we're saving you money, we need to make sure we're saving you on your premiums now, but we also need to make sure we're saving you for the problem that's going to happen. And the problem is, a lot of people don't want to talk about the problem that's going to happen because they think it's not going to happen to them. Yeah. But we've seen it over 20 years, so many stories. And so what I always tell people is I would much rather give you a backstop and a little bit higher deductible than to just leave you high and dry. Because here's the real question for your listeners. If you don't have the coverage, what's your deductible for that problem?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's very logical. And I'm guilty of, I don't want to talk about it sometimes too. I've gone through and gotten quotes like you all have, but I'm not in the business. And I've gotten cheaper quotes, more expensive quotes, but then I get looking at house value. How did they come to my house value and my land property value and my shed or whatever they have to look at? And I find that, as a realtor, we all do comps, right? We try to figure out what a house is actually worth, even though everything's worth what somebody will pay for it. That's how life is. But in general, we have guidelines. And I have found different values on my house. So is that an algorithm too, that you all use the same one, or can that be kind of messed around with a little bit to give a cheaper quote? Or how does that work? As a consumer, I would just like to know.
Yeah, in fact, this is actually kind of hot off the press, especially so this will be kind of news for everybody. So, what's happening now, especially with inflation and material costs and everything rising so fast, what's happening is in the quoting software, there's a reconstruction calculator, okay, and every single carrier either has their own proprietary software, or they all will use a similar third party vendor, and you'll see the same software on multiple carriers, and it's basically just a reconstruction estimate, right, as to what they believe in that market, in that zip code, in that neighborhood and territory, that they believe that square footage based on a basic, custom or semi-custom type build, it would cost to rebuild that house, right? And so all that information nowadays from a technology perspective populates in from the county. So it's not even like the agent doesn't even have to put it in. And so you can manipulate a couple of different variables to get that value a little higher, a little lower, but it's still going to fall in a pretty good range, right? But where I caution folks is let's say a year ago, and I saw this yesterday with one of our elite agents working on an account, and it's one of the agents that Angela referred to us, is that same neighborhood or very, very close neighborhood. That same house a year ago, insured by the same carrier, the estimate was like $800,000 for this house. This year, because of inflation and those software being updated for cost of materials, that same house we're quoting in the same area, or I shouldn't say the same house, in the same area for a different for a referral, is now around 1.2 from that same software, 1.2 million. And so you can kind of see where what happens is there's an update in the system based off cost of materials across the country that the insurance companies are seeing. And so they update their algorithms, and now all of a sudden we get higher costs. And you know what? That's really to protect the consumer. Because if we don't have enough insurance and there's a loss, we've seen that problem happen this year too with inflation and with all the water losses back from February with the winter storm Uri. We saw so many houses, both with total fires or with total water losses, that there wasn't even enough insurance to cover reconstructing the home the way it was, because we had such an increase in materials, but the cost of insurance or the coverage for the insurance was here, and there was such a giant gap there, and so the software has now started to catch up with that gap that they were seeing at the claims level.
Okay, so I'm a consumer, and I bought my insurance 7 months ago. My policy will be up in 5 months, and am I protected if my house burns down and it was worth $300,000 in January, now it is August, and it's worth $380,000, but yet I've got a policy that's 7 months old? Am I in trouble, or do the insurance carriers take care of us during that? And I guess I'll let you answer that first, and then I might have another question based on the answer, but how does that work?
Yeah, and most of the carriers that we write with, and we teach our agents to do this, especially all of our agents do it, but our elite team are very well trained on this, there is usually an endorsement we call a cost plus endorsement. So it'd be an extra 25%, an extra 50%, that if that calculation is wrong, it'll go above and beyond for the structure of your house. And so we try to put that on there every single time. There's certain policies that don't include that, though, like rental properties or secondary homes. Sometimes those policies won't have that endorsement available. So we've got to maybe do a little bit more regular review to make sure everything's keeping up, because we've seen that happen as well.
So again, coming from a consumer part, if you have a big company insuring you, one of the big names, let's say, do we have cost plus on there automatically, or is that what you're saying, or do we have to talk about it?
It's not automatic, but it's an endorsement that our agents have been trained to add on, because it's not a giant expense, but it's major peace of mind. So it's not even a question of whether or not you should sell it or offer it, because of the likelihood of something happening and there not being enough insurance.
And Angela, this might be something I'm sorry if it's a silly question, but it is one. If you have a policy for a year, can you change in 5 months? Can you call an insurance company and go, I quit, I want to go with the other guys?
I'm going to have Robby. I'm going to defer to Robby on that, the insurance guy.
Absolutely. You can change anytime you want. Basically, your insurance is, even though you pay monthly or you pay annually or 6 months or whatever you pay your policy on, that's your billing model, but that you're on, right? But at the end of the day, you actually pay insurance prorated by the day by the Department of Insurance. The A-rated national bigger carriers, you're in a contract for them to cover you for that term, but you can break that contract at any point by written cancellation. Or if I promise you this, if you're paying monthly and all of a sudden your premiums don't go through, your contract's getting canceled.
Okay. We don't want to hit
you
the
can
credit
cancel at any
book,
point, anytime, and you can break your contract, just like the insurance company can break it if you don't pay.
No money, no insurance. Understood.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, that's cool. So I guess the message right now is to everybody listening, maybe call your insurance company and see if you have cost plus on your insurance policy. Might not be a bad thing to do, right?
I think that'd be an excellent thing to do. Or they could call us and make sure they get it. One way or the other.
And I'm going to after the show. So anyway, yeah. So I know I'm learning a lot. So I love this. It's wonderful. So Angela, you've been quiet, and now it's time for you to talk.
Oh,
Tell us all about how you go about marketing Dagley, and how can a realtor help you? How can you help a realtor? How does all that marketing thing work when you're out there pushing Dagley and you're part of the Fathom family?
Yeah. So I started to talk about this earlier, and then surprise, I got off my train of thought. But through social media with all the agents that are across the country, it's really been helpful to be able to connect with them. So I would encourage you to add me as a friend. I'm in all of the Facebook mastermind groups for Fathom across the United States. So I'd love to be your friend off of that as well. I'm very responsive to, Facebook messages and texts. And I would say, I would just encourage you to reach out and just say hi. I love food. I love dogs. So,
Me too.
those are just some things to connect with me on. But if you're local, what I really enjoy, I've had several appointments that I've been setting for the next couple of weeks, just a one-on-one, or even with a couple of agents. If you have, that are in your area, if you want to get together and do coffee or drinks, or go to the dog park, something, whatever it is that you guys would like to do. I that's something that, I'm in the process of scheduling. And shout out to all the district directors that are, helping get those agents in front of us. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, and they do a good job at that for sure. And you can see that on the mastermind board. So, well, I tell you what, I really enjoyed this, and I learned a lot about insurance, and sure learned a lot about Dagley. And I wanted to say one more time, as a consumer, if you need a quote, it's so simple. I mean, golly, it's very simple.
It really is, and it doesn't take that much time either. So
yeah, it doesn't. All right. Well, any last words from the good folks at Dagley to the good folks out here in Radio Land?
Well, I would just encourage that if they're with Fathom or any part of the Fathom held companies, they can go to dagleyins.com/Fathom-family to put in their username and password there, or call us and link up with us. If you've got clients that you would love for us, or friends, family, neighbors, your cycling group, whatever it may be, or your dog park friends, you can always send them also to fathomquote.com. So fathomquote.com is for your clients and friends and family and neighbors and relatives, that they can also enjoy the same great service and experience that we want to offer you as well.
That's wonderful.
The last thing, make sure you have Angela's number. Make sure you have Angela's number and email. So Angela, please put that in the chat also, so folks have it. The last thing that I would say for myself, and I'll give you my number as well, is if at any point you have an issue in your transaction, right? So Angela is really great for helping to connect and chase things down where it is. She's also a great asset to have as far as a connection, even to Encompass Lending or to Verus Title. And so she has great relationships in all three of the companies to try to help help get you connected with someone if you don't know someone in that area. The other piece that I would give you for me is if you ever have a problem in your transaction, a question about a claim, a question about a water loss, a roof, or what. I even had folks call me yesterday about stuff in the county. An agent called me yesterday about an issue in the county with a water line and where a house could be built and around the floodplain and about reclamation. If you have any question that'll help you get through a transaction, whether you're referring a customer and we're on any piece of it or not, you can call me and I will help you work through whatever you need, or I'll direct you to the best district director that I know that knows all about that. Our job at the end of the day, is part of being a part of the Fathom family, is to grow the companies, but it's also to help you as the agents. It's an agent-centric company, is to help you through your transactions in any way possible.
That's wonderful. Angela, how can they reach you? What's your phone number?
My phone number is 214-223-1315. And my email is angela@dagleyins.com.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks again, you guys. I really appreciate you taking time to do this with us. And we'll look forward to having you on the show again, maybe in a few more months, and see how we're all doing and go from there. So my name's Alan Pace. And if you want to buy or sell a home, please call. My number's up there. And we will see you in 2 weeks with another great subject concerning real estate. Have a great day, and thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Alan.
guys.